Hi, my name is James Pinto and welcome to my presentation today on modern network management. Today we'll be talking about SD-WAN. Here are 5 common challenges my customers face with their current WAN networks. Number 1, having a stable link provided by the ISP. So, without a stable link, it disrupts our work, it disrupts the people in the office, and this is one of the major problems the customer face. Problem number 2, management. In a WAN circuit, there are also many devices, firewall, you have your routing and routers and switches. So managing all this, especially from a multi-vendor perspective, is one of the second greatest challenge the customer face. The third one is always at the start is deploying those multi-vendor devices into the networks. Sometimes it can be a bit challenging. The one that really affects my customers, especially with geographical spread or reach across the world or even a certain region, they talk about supporting these end devices. So it can be quite challenging for branch side, especially if you don't have a dedicated IT person who knows what he or she is doing. Cost justification in terms of looking at the ISP perspective, looking at the product perspective, the renewal perspective, the licenses perspective. These are the major cost issues that the customer face. And all these 5 common challenges we will be addressing, and how SD-WAN can actually help address these challenges in today's presentation. Before we go in depth, we ask ourselves why are all these challenges very, very important. We all need to take a step back and look at a different perspective. We look at it from the perspective of the users and the customers. So as you can see here, our users see just access, internet speed. Is there error? Can I connect? I can't connect to my application, or I having no internet or no access to the tools I need for me to do my daily work. This is what the user sees, very plain and very simple. But what the user doesn't see is that what we, the IT people, see. We, the IT people, see a lot more things. We look at latency. Latency can also affect our application. We look at uptime, service availability. We look at the multi-vendor products in the whole solution or services we provide to the users. We also have to support them. We have to monitor them. And most importantly, we have to secure them. So there are many things that we IT people see, but the customers, or as I said, the users don't see. So now we'll talk about modern network management. Basically, we take all the things we have seen in the past few slides. We use a solution, SD-WAN solution, to address those challenges, to address those issues, address those management challenges also that IT also has. Management, what SD-WAN is, what can we expect, and why do we say it's a beautiful product to manage multiple WAN sites. We look at WAN functional overview. Generally, in our WAN, we have your network security comes in play. There's a Wi-Fi or LTE comes into play. You go about WAN optimization, application optimization. We talk about edge routing. So these are generally part of your WAN functions. What does SD-WAN do? SD-WAN takes all of that, compiles it into one solution, and deliver it to you. So SD-WAN comprises of all the functions. You can see network security. Some even have LTE. You can even put a Wi-Fi. It helps you do WAN optimization, edge routing, and it simplifies the deployment. That's the key thing. Simplifies the deployment and also simplifies the management. So the balance for SD-WAN is that how do you improve availability of your services to your users, and how do you also, from IT perspective, simplify your operations. WAN function overview. It actually comprises of 3 key things. Number 1 is your edge branch in green. Number 2 is your cloud gateway in red. Number 3 is your orchestration. So the orchestration allows you to actually control your whole WAN architecture, be able to manage it be able to deploy, be able to push down instructions and commands. While your edge sits at your different branch, and your cloud gateway is actually your gateway to all your different SaaS applications. These are value-add services that SD-WAN players provide to businesses. As you know, nowadays many businesses are moving to the cloud, be it a SaaS application or leveraging on IaaS platforms to deliver applications and services to their internal users. So a breakdown on what I shared in the previous slide. Edge routing, it can be virtual, it can be hardware, like a mini router box. It allows for flexible deployment either way. And natively most of the SD-WANs out there have advanced security, and the beauty of it is your link performance optimization, being able to optimize your WAN links to give you better quality, especially in Indonesia where link quality is a huge issue. Second one is your orchestration. So you have a centralized management to control, manage and monitor your whole WAN outlay. That is where you're able to configure and manage your business policies. And not forgetting, it enables us to actually do a zero-touch configuration to our branches. The next one is the gateway. Gateway is something that I shared that it will shoot back to your SaaS or your IaaS applications and platforms that you use. So this will help you to get a better connection, reduce latency and improve the user experience. There's zero maintenance, so normally these are taken care of the various vendors. And the other key part is that depending on the vendor itself is how well managed do they manage the different POPs there, to the cross connect to different data centers. So this is the interesting piece of it, where it differentiates from vendor to vendor. So what we talk about all-in-one orchestration, going back to orchestrator, is a zero-touch provisioning, no touch, where it pulls all the data to the device itself. You're able to have different business policies at different levels for different sites if needed, and it does automatic link profiling and helps you with link management and control. So this all sits on your orchestrator part of the SD-WAN. The other one that I want to talk about is the any link improvement, right? What I mean by any link improvement is that you have the ability to improve any links. So example, at a branch you have a broadband link, you have one MPLS and you have one 4G link. With SD-WAN, it takes all these three links, it does dynamic packet steering, it does on-demand remediation, and it continues monitoring. So it's this continuous loop that enables them to improve any particular link that you use, or even combine in one scenario. A customer use broadband and MPLS, and broadband, as the name suggests, you don't get fixed bandwidth, you don't get consistent services. Sometimes it can be unstable. So what it does, it actually aggregates your broadband and your MPLS, do dynamic packet steering, it does some on-demand cleanup, and it will continuous monitor. Overview of SD-WAN, what you can expect with SD-WAN, and where the main differentiator are, which is the all-in-one orchestration and the link improvement. I think the other one is just deploying SD-WAN is so simple. It took us maybe 1 week to do 50 sites, and that is how fast it can how easy it is to deploy SD-WAN, especially with the pool configuration. So I'd like to share with you 5 different use cases. I said 5 different challenges from customers and how SD-WAN approaches these cases, which some of IT users that we work with actually face. So generally, slow or no internet, with SD-WAN we are able to look at in-depth monitor and look at the uptime and actually see when the link starts to deteriorate. We're able to set pings and alerts that we know that we have to address this link, so it helps us to escalate to the ISP faster, and it helps us to solve these latency or no internet issues faster. So because as we go back to one of the key benefits of using SD-WAN is this continuous monitoring, and this continuous monitoring focus also on improving the link. Once it goes yellow, then that's when we will be alerted and we can act faster, so we can reduce time and effort, or we can reduce downtime. The next issue is slow performance and bandwidth issues, especially for larger corporate organizations where there are multiple users, not a lot of bandwidth, but there are certain applications that they need to give priority to, certain business applications that are needed for businesses to run, for the whole organization to generate revenue. So basically with SD-WAN, it actually simplifies our management. One example is that a customer has ERP application running, so there's always a bandwidth fight, with now teleconference becoming a hot thing that many people do, especially when you have a workforce at home and workforce in the office. So how do we address this? We look at priorities needed for different applications, and we set the priorities accordingly. Also for voice and video calls, we are able to go in depth to be able to classify them 1, 2, 3, 4 priority, and then we are able to ensure that throughout the day, based on the application usage, we are able to deliver the minimum service quality to the users in the office. So with SD-WAN, we are able to get an in-depth look in all this data and information, and also be able to configure and push down instantly to a group profile. So example, 10 branches will belong to a group profile. With one click, this profile can be pushed down to these 10 different branch sites. So the other key thing that many businesses do, right? So they basically set up a router box to have a site-to-site VPN. So sometimes site-to-site VPN can be a pain to set up, right? Depending on which vendor you're using, right? So with SD-WAN, it hopes to, using user GUI, you're able to set up your VPN faster, and it's smart enough to actually be able to create its own handshakes across your whole WAN topology, rather than we all setting one by one all the VPN settings per device. Having a smart system that gives the correct handshake at the correct time and transfer the correct data at the needed time. So what it does is that it actually helps us to also manage the bandwidth. So VPN also does take a lot of bandwidth, especially if you have multiple site to site. It can clog up, and it also can become a big problem. The issue is hardware issue. When you have hardware issue, you have to go down, you have to collect, you have to do an RMA, someone has to come there, you have to be on site. But I think with SD-WAN, what it does, it's supposed to be simplified. So instance and scenario, customer's hardware is down. So after troubleshooting, realize that it will not power on. So from a control panel, from IT control panel, we are just able to, within a few clicks, request a new box to be sent over. Once a new box is sent over, once they plug in the box, all the information is actually immediately pulled. So there is no configuration and setup. Basically, it's just key in some serial numbers, and all the information and data is automatically pulled. So from IT perspective, it helps us with addressing hardware issues and supporting customers on site. The other one is that a lot of people invest in NMS, network monitoring system. So what SD-WAN does is that it takes all those NMS, put it into one application. So now you got your WAN actually intertie with your network monitoring system all into one, rather than having two separate solutions. It's one solution all in all, even with reporting. So this also helps the customer to save costs and be able to monitor their networks. So if you want to talk more about SD-WAN, please do share with the team at NetOne Asia. My name is James Pinto. On behalf of the NetOne Asia team, thank you for joining us in our modern network management rewind session. We'll be more than happy to share with you more on our experience with SD-WAN. Thank you very much.